kill me.
Hello everybody, Martial Arts Film Freak here, and you may remember a handful of months ago I made a video on 5 professional wrestlers who were in martial arts films. Well, I had so much fun doing that, and there are just so many more professional wrestlers who have made the transition to film and have done martial arts films that I figured, let's just do another one. Went ahead and wore my AEW shirt for this one, so, let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into it. Let's discuss 5 more professional wrestlers in martial arts films. Number 5, Big Van Vader. Vader was a behemoth in the professional wrestling world, a true big man with shocking agility and devastating power. He was known for being incredibly stiff, meaning that he would just really hit his opponents pretty much all of the time. But then he could also just somehow land just the heaviest moonsault you've ever seen. Don't know how he did it. It's a big man doing a backflip off the top rope. The former WCW World Heavyweight Champion and first non-Japanese native IWGP Heavyweight Champion beat the legendary Antonio Inoki in his New Japan Pro Wrestling debut, and once had an eye just pop out. Just the eye just came out right in the middle of the ring. He's Vader. He's a terrifying, tough man's man. And he just popped it back. He took his mask off and he just popped it back in and proceeded to wrestle. That's not okay. Also, I can't go without mentioning his awesome entrance attire in Japan. Look at that. Look, it's like Samurai Vader. It blew steam out the back of it. That's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Vader's terrifying reputation made him a perfect choice to play the villain in a martial arts movie. And he found that role in the 1990 film adaptation of the much-beloved manga and anime, Fist of the North Star. Fist of the North Star is a cheesy 90s American action film based, again, on the anime that, I'm not the most fond of it. I think there's some pretty cool parts into it, but, if you grew up with it, you probably love it. If you didn't, you're probably going to struggle. The wonderful Gary Daniels plays our hero Kenshiro, and in one scene takes on the behemoth that is Big Van Vader in a pretty decent little scrap. Vader lands some punches, Vader gives him a hard time. Gary Daniels definitely puts him over as a tough guy. He even gets thrown through a window at some point and has to have that come to heart moment of I gotta get up and do it, I gotta get up and beat this man. And he does. He gets up, he beats him, snaps his neck. It's cool. I would have been happy if I could have seen a Vader bomb, even a moonsault, any one of those would have been nice. I have no idea if Vader was playing a character from the anime. I would just go out on a limb and say, I doubt it.
Who are you? The Fist of the North Star!
Number 4, Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is, of course, the 1996 gold medal winner in Olympic freestyle wrestling. He then made his pro wrestling debut in WWF back then in 1999, and from there to 2006 would be just one of the most entertaining professional wrestlers in the world. I'm talking as a technical wrestler, he was absolutely one of the best. You could not get any better than Kurt Angle. Just devastatingly great. He was hilarious. He somehow managed to not take himself super seriously and would just do the dumbest things, say the dumbest things, and just every time he was hilarious. And then you get into 2005, 2006, and he's the most terrifying man in professional wrestling because he's Kurt Angle, the wrestling machine, and you didn't want to be in the ring with Kurt Angle when he was the wrestling machine. The jokes were gone. He wasn't laughing. He was just going to break your ankle. Of course, had a much longer career after that in TNA Impact Wrestling, starting in 2006 all the way up to about 2017. But around 2000, I believe the movie came out in 11, he starred alongside Joel Edgerton and Tom Hardy in the mixed martial arts film Warrior. Yes, I am counting Warrior as a martial arts film. It is 100% a martial arts film, just as much as Rocky or any other movie of the sort. I love Warrior. Warrior's a great film, and I think everybody else should love it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, feel macho, and have a cry. With Kurt Angle's history of amateur wrestling, and of course being an Olympic gold medalist in freestyle wrestling, when he starts to play this mixed martial arts character, it genuinely had people thinking for quite a while after that movie came out that he was going to transition into mixed martial arts. There was a lot of speculation around that time, based on this movie, that he was going to go to like the UFC or something. And honestly, if he wasn't 43 years old when the movie came out, he probably would have. There's not a whole lot to say here. He just came in. He didn't really have many lines. I think his character's name was like Koba or something. I think he probably played a Russian guy. Was very sort of based on Fedor Emelianenko. But great role, great scenes, great fights. Not a lot to say. He was great. He was Kurt Angle. Everything Kurt Angle did was great. Look at him wear that little hat. That's great. Number 3, Vladimir Kozlov. This one was weird. I originally, just because the name, I originally wrote his real name, and I decided to go by his wrestling name. I'll use his real name later. Anyway, Vladimir Kozlov made his debut in the late 2000s as a serious threat. He was a contender. He, early on in his WWE career, was like pinning The Undertaker and giving Triple H a serious match. Like, it's crazy. And it's only crazy because just like in the few years after that, he was a comedy character. Don't know what happened. Shortly after he left professional wrestling, Vladimir Kozlov, aka Oleg Prudius, well, he went from comedy jobber to an entrepreneurial gangster. Look at that guy. Look at that. First of all, I don't want to fight this guy. This guy's going to beat me up. This guy's going to tear my legs off. This guy's a drug kingpin. This guy has an army of people who will do anything for him, and he could kill you himself. He could rip your head off its shoulders by himself. Just look at this. That's a terrifying man. But he doesn't need to, because he has an army who will do anything for him. I'm not meaning this literally. I'm just meaning that this guy looks like a gangster, and I don't want to mess with that guy. That's a Russian godfather, and I don't want anything to do with it. Anyways, sometime after his professional wrestling career was over, he did get into film. He has starred in one film himself, but the two ones I want to talk about, of course, start with John Wick Chapter 2. He's only in there for a little bit, as any stuntman is, because that's all John Wick needs is 2 seconds to kill you. I'm just going to show you what happened to him in John Wick. But then, of course, he starred alongside Wu Jing, Frank Grillo, and Heidi Moneymaker in the vast improvement on the first film, Wolf Warrior 2. In the film, he was kind of like the main heavy, you know? Like, Frank Grillo's the main bad guy, but every main bad guy has, like, their main, like, number one henchman. And that spot is kind of shared by Heidi Moneymaker and Oleg Prudius. But, you know, Oleg Prudius is just the big guy who just throws Wu Jing. Oleg Prudius has got to be at least, like, 6'4", and Wu Jing has got to be, like, 5'6". So, he just throws him around a lot. That's really what happens before ultimately, you know, kicking a bucket. But I was very happy to see him in this. Don't know why. Like, this movie I liked it. It's a vast improvement on the first film. But for some reason, Oleg Prudius in here, he just made it so much more enjoyable. Number 2, Kevin Nash. Whether he is Diesel in the WWF or leader of the New World Order in WCW, it is undeniable that Kevin Nash was at the center of many of the most important moments in 1990s professional wrestling. From WWF World Heavyweight Champion to the Curtain Call to the Outsiders, his impact is undeniable. But for the 90s kids who did not watch professional wrestling, he made a totally different impact. Not Impact Wrestling. He was there for a bit, but not that. Kevin Nash is actually quite the successful actor. He was absolutely hilarious in films like Magic Mike and The Longest Yard.
What the hell's wrong with you? Stop acting like a damn cheerleader. Sportsmanship, try it. Shut up.
And he has just an epic fight scene in the Punisher film from like 2004. I think that's when that came out. The one with Thomas Jane. He's the Russian guy. He gets stabbed and he had no idea. He's just that giant, massive, muscular that he took a knife to the pectoral muscle and didn't even feel it. Didn't even notice it. That was real. There's a whole story behind that. He got stabbed. Like, Kevin Jane, like, apologized. Like, dude, I just stabbed you in the chest. And Kevin Nash was like, it's fine. His more recent foray into martial arts cinema, again, was in John Wick, where he somehow, very luckily, I would say, has a first-name basis relationship with John Wick, in which John Wick tells Francis that maybe he should take the night off.
Why don't you take the night off?
But long before John Wick, way back in 2006, Kevin Nash stepped out of his comfort zone for DOA Dead or Alive, a film adaptation of the popular fighting game where he played Bass Armstrong, who was, I gotta remember here, Bass Armstrong was a professional wrestler. Yeah. So, comfort zone. Right, stepped out of it. Out of the box. Did something different. Kinda. But before DOA, Dead or Alive, he was in The Punisher, where he had that great fight scene. He got stabbed. But before that, way back in 1991, before WWF, WCW, before that weird Christmas character he did, before The Wizard, I think he was the Christmas guy. He was a lot of things before he was actually good in wrestling. Before The Click and all of it, before the Two Sweets. Way back in 1991... Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze. Way back in that final battle where Shredder gets launched through the window and he gets infected or whatever by the ooze that mutates him into the Super Shredder. Right there, Super Shredder. Big guy with all the spikes. Kevin Nash. Years before he was ever really that famous. But of course, as we all know who have seen that movie, he was not a threat at all. He starts swinging his giant arms, and he brings down the pier on top of himself because he's just hitting down too many pillars. And looking back on it, watching that fight scene back again today, I don't think that should have killed him. Did you see that pier? Go back and watch that. That's a small, like he maybe got landed on by about 30 pounds worth of stuff, and with all that armor on, I'm sure he's fine. He should get up, and with all those spikes, just murder some turtles. Number 1, Wade Barrett. Looking back on it, Wade Barrett is potentially one of the most wasted professional wrestlers in WWE history. He was great. He was charismatic. He was huge. He was the leader of the Nexus. The Nexus, again, wasted potential. They could have been something big and important, and instead they were just a footnote on the bottom of the shoe of John Cena. Wade Barrett was an incredible wrestler, and potentially still to this day could be. I don't know, he's retired, but I feel like he's probably got something left in him. He looks like he's perfectly healthy. He was the Intercontinental Champion, probably the Tag Champ a few times, I don't remember. He had a great gimmick. At one point, he was Bad News Barrett. He would come out and he would say, "I've got some bad news," and it was like, we like that. That was fun. Say it again.
Say the line, Bart!
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
But after his retirement, just like many other professional wrestlers, he broke into the world of cinema, particularly the world of some straight-to-DVD B-movie action movies, which, really, I don't mind. Those are some of the best action movies, so he made the right choice. He starred in 2 films of his own called I Am Vengeance, films that are pretty decent, pretty good, pretty worth a watch on, a fun little Saturday afternoon. Just pop it in, turn it on Netflix. I say pop it in because I'm a child of the 2000s where, you had a VHS or a DVD and you popped it in, but these days that doesn't make sense. If you'd have said that to a 12-year-old today, they'd be like, pop what in? What am I popping? In one of those movies, one of the I Am Vengeance films, he also stars alongside returning Gary Daniels. So, I'd like to see how many professional wrestlers Gary Daniels has been in a movie with, because at that point, I'm thinking of at least 2. Gary Daniels, I believe, is also in Expendables, the first one, with Stone Cold Steve Austin. So 3. I like this game. Back to the task at hand. Before I Am Vengeance, Stu Bennett really, like, directly after he left the WWE, and it was very confusing. I remember this was melting my brain, because WWE has a studio, they make WWE produced films, and they produced a film starring my favorite Scott Adkins called Eliminators. WWE produced film. The villain was Wade Barrett, aka, by the way, I'm just going to start using his real name from this point on, Stu Bennett. I lost confidence there for a second when I said Stu Bennett because there's another wrestler named Mike Bennett, and my brain got really confused. But no, Stu Bennett played the villain in this film that was produced by WWE, and around the exact same time this movie came out, I remember Stu Bennett had retired and quit professional wrestling, so I was like, this is odd timing. It took me quite a few years to see that movie, but I quite enjoyed it. I think Stu Bennett played an excellent villain in that film, and he had a wonderful final fight with Scott Adkins. Nowhere near Scott Adkins' best, I would say, but definitely very entertaining, and a worthy death for Stu Bennett. Just as, you know, all these guys pretty much die in their movies. Except for Kurt Angle. That would have been dark, because that's like, you know, a sports movie. Don't want that to happen. Also, there's a great scene where Scott Adkins is in like what is it? I don't even know. A sky tram thingy with two dudes, and Stu Bennett just sort of yells out, "I'll pay whoever kills that guy," or knocks him out. I don't know why. That's it's just a fun scene, and he's so confident. Hey, whoever knocks that guy out, I've got money for you.
Oi! 10 grand if you knock him out for me.
Definitely a movie worth watching, definitely a movie worth checking out, definitely a movie worth popping in. But there you have it, there you go, folks. There are 5 more professional wrestlers in martial arts films. Honestly, I had another one ready to go that was on this list. I replaced him with Stu Bennett. It was Kurt Angle. Not Kurt Angle. It was Hulk Hogan. I was going to do Hulk Hogan. He's in 3 Ninjas. Like one of them. One of the ones that's bad. They're all not good. They're all for children, but they're all not good. Hulk Hogan's in it. But I don't like Hulk Hogan. He's a piece of crap. He's a bad person. He's a horrible human being. So I didn't really want to give him the time of day, you know. Unless I'm doing this right now and telling you that Hulk Hogan is human garbage. But tell me what you think in the comment section down below of all 5 or 6 of those professional wrestlers in martial arts cinema. Which one of them is your favorite? Is it going to be Stu Bennett, Wade Barrett, Kevin Nash as the Super Shredder, or Kurt Angle in Warrior putting up an incredible fight for a film that makes everybody cry? Or it's Big Van Vader, just because, you know, it's Big Van Vader. How can you not like Big Van Vader? Have you seen that helmet? That helmet's dope. So do all those things I said, ask those questions, answer those questions in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Head over to Facebook, where there is the Martial Arts Film Freak Facebook page, Instagram, Martial Arts Film Freak, Tristan_Glover on Twitter, and Martial Arts Film Freak on TikTok. Head over to Twitter and just tweet at Kevin Nash. Something positive, something nice. Tell him you appreciate him, because right now Kevin Nash is going through a bit of a hard time, and that makes me really sad. I watched a video of him recently saying some things that made me really uncomfortable, and I like Kevin Nash. He's a really nice, cool dude. He's a great wrestler. He's made a lot of people really happy throughout the world, throughout his lifetime, and he's going through a tough time right now. So just go to Twitter and just tweet at Kevin Nash something positive, please. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.